Hey, what's up, 5th and 6th grade friends? We've been talking about influence, and it's week 3 of the series called Popular. And I want to tell you, there was one time where I wasn't very popular with some of my friends. It was when I was in about 4th or 5th grade, I can't remember, and there was a trivia contest in the library that our class participated in. So we split up into teams of like 4 or 5, I think. And we went down to the library, and each team had a separate section where they sat together in the library, and it was a trivia contest, so one team at a time got a chance to answer a trivia question. And here's how it worked. The teacher would ask the team the question, and then the team would have a few seconds to talk to each other and try to figure out together what was the answer to the question. But only one person from the team could speak for the team and tell the teacher the answer. For my team, that was me. And so that kind of made me the leader of the team. So everybody was trusting me a little bit because they chose me to be the leader of the team. And as we answered all the questions, our team was getting a lot of the questions right. As a matter of fact, we made it almost all the way to victory. There were only 2 teams left, and we were one of them. So when the teacher called on us, she asked us the question. We conferenced together, and everybody on my team except me thought that they knew the right answer. They all agreed except me. I didn't think that what they thought was the right answer. And so when I went to tell the teacher the answer, I said, "We don't know." And so everybody on my team is looking at me like, "What do you mean we don't know? We know. We told you to tell her that this is the answer." And we lost the point because I said, "We don't know." And I bet you can guess what happened. The teacher told us the answer to the question, and it was the exact answer that everybody told me to say. And guess what? I lost influence. Those people didn't trust me anymore. My teammates didn't want to sit with me. They didn't want to play at recess with me. They didn't want to look at me. They didn't want to talk to me. I lost influence. And remember, influence, like we've been talking about, is the ability to affect other people's behavior, thoughts, and choices. We all have influence, the potential to influence people. We also have the potential, like I did, to lose influence. Maybe we or somebody we know had influence but lost it, like I did, because of a bad decision. The more we make bad choices, the more likely we'll be known as somebody who makes bad choices, and the more likely it is that we'll lose our influence. And while it may seem like we've lost influence because of decisions that we've made, there's a way to find influence even when we think it's gone forever. Have you ever felt like you've lost influence? Well, this message is for you then. In the book of Luke, we read about Peter. We talked about Peter last time, I think. He was a man who was one of Jesus' most trusted friends and followers. And even though Peter became an amazing leader, an influencer in the church, he wasn't always that way. When Jesus had been arrested and put on trial, Peter was afraid for his life and denied knowing Jesus 3 times. 3 times in a row to 3 different people. Peter said, "I don't even know who you're talking about. I don't even know Jesus. I've never seen him before. I have no idea what you're talking about." Man, it would be easy to just assume that Peter's potential to have influence as a Christian would be lost because he denied even knowing Jesus. I mean, if you were Jesus, wouldn't you be offended by that? Wouldn't your feelings be hurt? Wouldn't you have a hard time trusting Peter anymore? But Jesus doesn't allow our mistakes to be the end of our story. Jesus doesn't see our mistakes the same way that we do. He knows our sins are forgiven when we come to him with an open heart. And so, given the chance to right his wrong, Peter communicated his love for Jesus. Here's what happened in John 21, starting in verse 15. Jesus has just risen again from the grave, and he's having breakfast with his disciples. And so Jesus turns to Peter and he said, "Peter, do you love me?" And Peter said, "Yes, Lord, I do love you." "Then feed my lambs," Jesus told him. Jesus repeated the question, "Simon, son of John, do you love me?" "Yes, Lord," Peter said, "I love you." "Then take care of my sheep," Jesus said. A third time, He asked him, "Peter, do you love me?" And Peter was hurt that Jesus asked the question a third time. He said, "Lord, you know everything. You know that I love you." And Jesus said, "Then feed my sheep." So you might be wondering, as we read that, what does sheep have to do with it? And why is Jesus hurting Peter's feelings? Like, why doesn't he just forgive him or not forgive him? Why does he keep asking him over and over again, "Do you love me? Do you love me? Do you love me?" Well, let me tell you, I think Jesus was asking Peter, "Do you love me?" 3 times because he wanted to show Peter, I understand that you denied me 3 times. I understand that you betrayed me 3 times. And I want you to know that for every time you mess up, I'm going to forgive you. And I still want you to love me. And you're not fired as my friend. You're not fired as a follower of mine. You're not fired as an influencer for me. Actually, quite the opposite. I still want you to feed my lambs and take care of my sheep. Well, what does that mean? It's not real sheep. It's a metaphor. It's a comparison. It's a word picture. Jesus often talked about himself as the good shepherd who has a flock of sheep. That's us. We're the sheep, the people who follow Jesus. And the shepherd takes care of the sheep and loves the sheep. And so Jesus is saying, Peter, I want you to take care of the sheep with me. I don't want you to have no influence anymore. I want you to keep on having influence and helping other people understand how much I love them and how to follow me. You see, Jesus knew that Peter had made mistakes, but he saw Peter for more than his mistakes. And the same is true for us. Because we're forgiven for the mistakes that we make, we can move forward on a new path, step by step, gaining the influence back that we feel we may have lost. And so maybe there's influence that you need to think about that you've been sacrificing, kind of like Peter. Maybe there is something that you have done that has caused people not to trust you and not to be influenced by you anymore. Maybe you have let your friends know that you're a Christian and you're trying to follow Jesus, but you also have kind of a potty mouth and you use your words to tear people down. Maybe you need to realize that. Maybe you just need to get real about that and say, you know what? I don't think Jesus would want me to talk like this. And I bet my friends are thinking, well, if you're a Christian, why are you using your words to tear us down? So maybe what you need to do is just ask for forgiveness and try to do something different from Jesus and from your friends. You could talk to your friends and say, listen, you guys know that I'm a Christian, I'm trying to follow Jesus, but you also know that sometimes I use mean words that tear people down. I want you to know that that's not right, and I'm sorry. I'm going to try to do a better job. You know, you're allowed to do that. And maybe there's influence that you have lost because you don't follow your parents' rules, and then you don't get to hang out with your friends anymore because you're grounded. You know, that could be another thing too, where you need to really honor your parents differently and do a better job of obeying them so that you can continue to hang out with your friends and influence them. I don't know what it might be for you, but I'm just going to challenge you when it comes to losing your influence. I want you to ask yourself, what may be causing you to lose influence right now in your life? Think about something that you might be doing or saying that could cause you to lose influence with people. And then confess that to God. Just confess just means you tell God the truth about what it is. You say, look, I'm doing this. I know it's not right, but I keep on doing it. God, I just want to tell you that I've realized I'm doing the wrong thing. And then ask for God's forgiveness and take a step in the right direction. Take a step to try to make it right. Because Jesus won't allow our mistakes to be the end of our story, so why should we allow our mistakes to be the end of our story? We can do like Peter. Ask forgiveness from Jesus, and Jesus can give it to us and restore us to influence other people. So, what's one thing in your life that may be causing you to lose influence? I dare you, I invite you, come clean about that to God. Receive his forgiveness and move forward with your life. Love you guys. Talk to you soon.